Hello and welcome to the Homemade Songwriter. My name is Austin, and if you're just checking out our channel for the very first time, we are all about all things songwriting and music. We love music, we hope you do too, and our goal is to help you do it better. So if you're anything like us, please like and subscribe to our channel for more weekly content all about music. In today's video, I'm going to give you 3 songwriting tips for beginners, because if you're just starting this process, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming to figure out how to get the ball rolling. But if there's one thing that we believe here at the Homemade Songwriter, it's that anybody who has a passion for it can be a writer. And in fact, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the very first step. So by clicking on this video, you've already taken a very important first step towards songwriting success. So without further ado, here are 3 tips for beginners on how to start writing songs. Tip number 1. Don't be afraid to be bad. Maybe you've never written any kind of music before, and you're starting to feel the pull, but you can't get over that speed bump of worrying that your product will be bad because you've never done it before. Or maybe you're starting to write already, but you're thinking about throwing in the towel because you're just not satisfied with what you've created so far, and you think it's no good. You might be questioning, who would want to listen to my music? In response to those fears, I want to share a little something with you. Here's the very first song I ever tried to write when I was just about 15 years old.
Even when you're running late, can't get a job, can't find a date, go to a school you know you hate, Dr. Pepper's worth the wait. Oh yeah, Dr. Pepper's worth the wait. And even when you're so broke, don't be caught dead buying Coke. Just wait a while, darling, you'll see it'll be worthwhile. A cold glass of DP, Dr. Pepper's worth the wait. Oh yeah, Dr. Pepper's worth the wait.
And here's part of the last song I wrote just the other day using almost those exact same chords.
Used to want fortune and fame, wanted everyone to know my name. I used to close my eyes at night and picture my face under neon lights, but I don't need diamonds or pearls. I don't need limos or chauffeurs. I don't need to change the world. Ever since I got the girl.
Now, that may not be the greatest song you've ever heard, but I think we can all agree it's a significant improvement over the first one, which was basically just free advertising of my deep and enduring love for Dr. Pepper, which is ongoing, by the way. And you know what? I wrote that last tune in about an hour, whereas the first one took me all afternoon after school one day and part of the next day for that. My point here is this. Everyone has to start somewhere. You may not be in a place where you can write everything that's in your heart exactly the way you want it to sound right now, but if you don't start somewhere, you'll never get anywhere. Despite what Bruce Springsteen says, none of us is born knowing how to crawl, much less run. We have to learn how to roll onto our stomachs, and then hoist ourselves onto all fours, and then crawl, and then walk, and then and only then can we start trying to learn how to run. So don't let anxiety over crawling stop you from getting up and trying. It's okay to be bad. And that might sound cheesy or overly simple, but you'd be surprised how many people I talk to who admire the kind of songwriting that we do on this channel, but when prompted to do so themselves will respond with like, no, I probably won't be any good anyway. If you want to be good, you have to be bad first. Tip number 2, perspiration, not inspiration. We've all been there. I want to write a song, but I'm just not feeling inspired. I don't have any good ideas for what to write about. I don't have anything to say that hasn't already been said 1,000 times. There are few things I hate more than the songwriting rut, but it is up there, and I've been in it so many times. But I've said it before, and I will say it again, perspiration beats inspiration. Perspiration beats inspiration. You may love music more than anyone you know. You may be the champion of your local musical trivia night. You may have a PhD in music. You may have a dog named Taylor Swift. You may go to sleep and dream about how you're going to fill stadiums one day with screaming fans. None of that matters unless you are willing to put aside your instinct to only write when you're feeling inspired and instead work on developing consistent and habitual songwriting practices. I guarantee that your quality is directly correlated to your quantity when it comes to songwriting. Think about it like this. Let's say you were super hungry and you wanted to cook for yourself, but somehow have managed to make it all the way through your life without ever actually preparing a meal. Would you let that stop you from making yourself something to eat? Heck no. It might not turn out to be a Gordon Ramsay-worthy dish, but it will satisfy your hunger. But here's the thing. If you only cook when you're feeling hungry, you will often find that the dishes come out rushed, sloppy, unrefined, and poorly plated as you race to finish the meal so you can eat. It takes bakers years of repetition in the kitchen before they're able to master their craft. And wouldn't it make sense for you to prepare food for yourself a bunch and get good at it before you start trying to prepare food for other people? The point being this. If you want to be a chef, you can't only cook when you're feeling hungry. And if you want to be a songwriter, you can't only create when you're feeling inspired. But the awesome thing about that practice is that after a while, you get to a point where even if you're not feeling creatively hungry, you can still craft a masterful song souffle. It just takes time and willingness to bend over that musical oven and work up that creative perspiration. Tip number 3, when in doubt, write it out. Tip number 3 is really important. If you just started writing songs recently or you're thinking about getting into songwriting, I guarantee that you are steering directly into a situation that anybody who has ever tried songwriting has encountered at some point. You are inevitably going to get about halfway through a song and then you're going to start to question if it's any good. Or maybe you'll just hit that creative wall and think, I'll just put this aside for a day or two and then come back to it. Or you'll find yourself feeling insecure about the idea and start to think maybe it's dumb. For me, this usually occurs right after I finish writing verse 1, pre-chorus 1, and chorus 1. I will usually either start feeling self-satisfied and think to myself, a verse and a chorus, that's probably good for now. Time to go watch the Avengers again. Or I will play through the entire song that I've written so far, get to the end of what I've written, and think to myself, this idea is dumb. I don't even know if I like this so far. Time to put this aside and go watch the Avengers again. When in doubt, write it out. This tip takes discipline and perseverance, but it is crucial in developing your songwriting skills. You're just never going to be able to sit down every single time and write a song out end to end and just crush it every single time. But abandoning a song halfway through because of insecurity or disinterest is the biggest destroyer of songwriters of all time. I want to be clear that I'm not saying if you are struck by inspiration and need to jot down some songwriting or lyric ideas in your phone before it leaves you, that you need to drop everything you're doing right then and there and finish the song. But what I am saying is that if you're spending dedicated time songwriting, finishing the song is half the battle. Worst case scenario, your song turns out mediocre and you never have to revisit it. But I can tell you that 9 times out of 10, if I will just make myself push through that songwriting slump, I will often get songs out of the exercise that I turn out to be really proud of. And the end product is usually more thematically cohesive because I didn't drop it halfway through and then come back to it later and try to get back in the same headspace I was in when I started. Even if you have to limp across the finish line, finish the race. You'll accomplish 2 things. 1, you'll have 1 more song in your song bank, and 2, the next time you sit down to write, it will slowly become easier and easier to take hold of your ideas and see them through to the finished product consistently. And before you know it, you are well on your way to writing the next All-Star by Smash Mouth, the clear anthem of our generation. Alright, that's all for today. I hope if you're just getting started, you find these 3 tips to be helpful. My question for the day is this. If you could write like any songwriter or performer out there, who would it be and why? Also, if you're needing a little bit of inspiration and you're feeling creatively stuck, click the link in the description below and we will send you a list of 30 free songwriting prompts to help jumpstart your creativity and get you writing again. If you write all 30 songs, you will have 1/10 the number of new songs as the number of uses and products that George Washington Carver found for peanuts. 300 products with peanuts!
That's a lot of nuts!
Alright gang, that's all for this one, so keep writing and we'll see you in the next one.